motherfuckers that got something to say about the conversation that I had with my son. You don't know how lazy this motherfucker is. I'm sick and tired of this nigga shit. And if you got something to say, you say it to my goddamn face. I'm a Christian man, but I still smoke, I drink, and I tote that iron. Let go. To all you motherfuckers.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 334 of the report, man. And yo, man, shout out to whoever that was on TikTok for that Kirk Franklin impression. I don't know who did the original like version of that. And like how he like spot on for the Kirk Franklin voice, though. Spot on for the Kirk Franklin voice. And that and you know, real talk, when we talked about that before, it was kind of a heavy topic, man. But it's always good to get some laughs and some jokes in on that. You know, cause shit, you know, it's enough stressful shit going on in the world, man. So the fact that we can kind of laugh at some of this stuff is actually pretty good. But yo, man, like I said, this is episode number 334 of the Spann Report, man. And we got some things we're going to talk about here tonight. But of course, before we do that, I got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Spann Report podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up the hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave us those voicemail messages. Those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. And if you're watching us here live on YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitch, you can chop it up with your man Spann here while we're doing the show at area code 313-288-0485. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave those emails. And of course, those emails will get right here, reply to here live as well. We got an email that we got to reply to tonight. So we're going to do that here. Feedback@thespannreport.com and get those emails in, right? Also, follow me, man, Spann on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So you can go ahead, follow me there, chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. Also, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and or Stitcher Radio. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show. We really appreciate everybody who goes about the minutes of doing that. It doesn't cost you a dime, just a couple minutes of your time to let everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network. And also hit us up on our website at www.thespannreport.com. That's www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls, and we decide to put those polls up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network. You can also go to our website to get to our store. Our TeePublic store, man. You can go ahead and cop yourself some merch. Get yourself a fly t-shirt or a wife beater or a coffee mug or a mouse pad. We even got some fly face mask up in that joint, man, because, you know, COVID is still a thing. So if you want to, you know, support us in that way, in some way that you can walk around with tangible, hit us up at our store, man, and get yourself some merch and support us in that way. And for those of you who would like to contribute to the effort and to help us continue to do this show here live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, you can become a Patreon patron, become a part of the Golden Circle of the Spann Report podcast. And those folks, the Patreon patrons, are the ones who allow for us to do this show here live on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, and Twitch, man. Real talk. So shout out to those folks. And yo, man, let's get into this show, man. Let's get into this show. So your man Spann got some random thoughts, man. These are just a couple of things that kind of like dawned on me over the course of the last week or so. And my first random thought is this, man. And I came to this realization after having so many different conversations about the COVID-19 and the vaccines and everything else, right? And this is when the motherfucking light bulb went off for your man, right? Sometimes in life, you just gotta let people be stupid, man. Yeah, man. Like, I think, you know, for those of you who've been listening to me over some time, man, like, yeah, I feel like y'all should know how, you know, my temperament has been kind of agitated somewhat, you know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that, you know, I feel as though, like, sometimes, man, people just don't want to, like, take heed to, like, factual information. They just don't, because it doesn't necessarily, you know, go with how they, you know, feel. Like, confirmation bias is a bitch. And so with confirmation bias being such a bitch, like, sometimes, man, people will just kind of take stances that you just like looking at them like, man, you can't be this dumb. But like, really, like, you, as much as you want better for them, as much as you want more for them, like, you can't want it more for them than they want it for themselves. And so I just kind of came to the realization that, like, yo, sometimes you just gotta let people be dumb. You know, I know they say ignorance is bliss and shit, and when you're in a, you know, a little bit more of a enlightened space, man, you got the burden of knowing and shit. But yeah, sometimes, man, you just gotta let them be there, man. People get there in their own time, So yeah, that just kind of hit your boy this week, right? Another thing I was thinking about, man, if more people like actually read some shit as opposed to just like peeping some shit, they might actually learn some shit, right? Because I like it is, that's, and I guess it probably ties into the first thought that I had earlier this week. But like, I noticed that like sometimes, man, people peep shit. Like, man, you peep what's going on over there. Did you peep that there? Like, and it's basically like you getting these little tidbits of information and you drawing from these minor, small tidbits of information and you extrapolating from that some larger conclusion, as opposed to just kind of reading the situation, not even just so much on a literal sense, like literature and shit like that, but just kind of reading the situation, grabbing as much information from that situation as you possibly can before coming to a certain conclusion. If more people actually read some shit, as opposed to just peeping some shit, they might actually learn some shit, and it might not necessarily be the conclusion that you would have came to if you just peeped it. You know what I'm saying? And so many motherfuckers just like peeping shit. Like, nah, man, like look deeper into that. It ain't a lot of this shit just ain't surface level, bro. Just look a little bit deeper into that, and you might find yourself coming to a different conclusion, man. That's just with anything, not even just like on some literary shit or some literary shit or some political shit or some socioeconomic shit, just like on things, period, man. Look deeper into the stuff, man. Sometimes this shit just ain't, it's just surface level. Give it a little bit more thought. Give it a little bit more thought, man. Another thing, man, this actually happened to your man Spann this week. And this is part of the reason why the show is titled the way that it is. Shout out to Facebook for, letting your boy Spann out of motherfucking Facebook jail, man. Yeah, man, I got an early release. I was, it was crazy in there, man, being Facebook jail lead number 3769232. No, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, I know, like, see, here's the thing, right? Facebook wants to like kind of tamp down on certain language and certain political ideologies being propagated on their website and shit. And again, it's their website, so I get it. I'm not even on some like, yo, man, they infringed upon my free speech shit, because I know what it is, man. It's like, yo, you adhere to some terms of services or whatever else, and like those are the rules that you're governed by on their website. I get it, man. I'm not even tripping on that, right? I'm not even tripping on that. But what I was tripping on was the fact that they locked this nigga Spann up off the Facebook, and I ain't even know what the fuck I even did.
Well, I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
Like, what's the charge, man? Like, what's the fucking charge, bro? Like, that's the thing. Like, so I've been suspended multiple times now from Facebook. A couple of them, your man Spann deserved. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have to say what I said to that person. You know what I'm saying? Even though I might have felt justified in my anger and all that other shit, I didn't have to say that. I chose to say that, and I got the suspension that I deserve, right? But this particular case right here, nigga, this shit right here, nigga, I don't even know why I was suspended. Like, they didn't even show me what post I posted. They didn't even show me what comment I left on somebody else's shit. I just looked up and this shit, your shit is restricted for 3 days. And I'm like, what? Okay, so why? You know what I'm saying? Like, first thing you want to do, you want to figure out why. And nah, that shit just like, yeah, it's for this post. And then you click the thing, but you click the thing and it don't take you nowhere. It just says, and then it'll show you that like you've had multiple, it's like, so now you're a habitual line stepper. Like, Facebook is pretty much treating me like I'm a habitual line stepper. And even though like, I don't know what the fuck I said or what the fuck I posted, because I have a record, I got a rap sheet now, man. My rap sheet is like 5 suspensions long. Yeah, right. So my rap sheet is 5 suspensions long. And they just like, you know what, man, like he probably did it because he's got this record now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Facebook is treating you like society would treat your black ass. You know what I'm saying? Well, shit, like he's not the perfect victim. Like he's gotten trouble before. And that's pretty much how Facebook been treated. But nigga, what's the charge though? Like, they out here suspending niggas and not even telling them why now. That's the thing. Like, that's how we moving now. And the interesting thing about that is that like folks keep talking about how like, yo, man, we need to come up with our own platforms, man. Facebook out here, they getting all this money off of our information and shit, man. They feeding us all these motherfucking targeted ads and shit, man. Everywhere I go, man, all I got to do is say something, man. I could say I want like a belly band pistol holster or some shit like that, man. Suddenly I'm getting inundated with these ads and shit. Like, well, nigga, you said that's what you wanted, right? And then they served you up with the ad so you can get what exactly you said you wanted, right? Like, I ain't even tripping on that. But my thing is, like, yo, at least tell me what my offense was, man. Just tell me what my offense was. But when it comes to that whole thing of we need to come up with our own platforms and shit, y'all don't really believe that shit, man. Like Black Planet, when I remember when Black Planet was popping, nigga, like popping. The minute some newer shit came out, niggas was gone. Right. And it wasn't just Black Planet. It was like shit. MySpace felt the brunt of that shit too. Facebook, once they opened Facebook up, outside of just you being a college student, and that shit went, worldwide, anybody could join. Everybody hopped on the Facebook, and we ain't left this motherfucker. And let's see, I want to say damn near 12, 13 years now. It's been a while. It's been a long time now. Facebook done had a nice long motherfucking run. Black Planet can't say that. MySpace can't say that. Moco Space, Crush Spot, or whatever the hell else kind of like websites you was a part of. College Club, for those of us who remember College Club, which was Facebook before Facebook was Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Like they have not had the run that Facebook has had. And so y'all don't really believe that shit. Like, because many of your favorite podcasters, including me, many of your favorite podcasts, they got their own websites, man. Like you can go to their websites and like kind of interact with folks, man, and just be on the website. A lot of these websites are set up to where like, yo, you could create an account there. You can like chat with folks over there. They got forums and shit over there, but you don't be there. You be on Facebook, which forces your content creators and stuff like that to also be on Facebook. So like if we really meant it when we said we need to have our own spaces, how about we actually support the spaces that are already available to us now? Because they out there. We just gotta, we gotta support them now, man. So like if you're really pissed off about how Facebook is doing you and you want to try to find someplace else to go, hey man, like good luck recruiting other motherfuckers to come with you. Because that's the thing, man. Good luck getting other people to follow you to this other place because people they creatures of habit, man. So that's what it is. But yo, those have been my random thoughts. We got some listener feedback here. So let me go ahead and pull up this email that I got earlier in the week. Give me a second here while I pull this up. All right, let's do this here. All right. And this email here comes from Reggie. Reggie writes in, he's talking about Lil Nas X. He says, hey, Spann, I'm not sure if I missed it in a previous episode or not, but did you ever speak on the Lil Nas X controversy with his music video and the shoes that resulted in him getting sued by Nike? Actually, no, I hadn't spoke on the Lil Nas X thing. Honestly, man, look, like the whole thing with Lil Nas X, I felt like it was predictable. I felt that everything about that shit was predictable, from the video coming out and the same niggas that always had anything to say about gay people saying something about gay people, the same people who were talking about the music is turning the kids gay, and then them using Lil Nas X as a reason why the kids are now turning gay. All that shit was predictable. The video with him dancing on Satan and everything else. Like Buddy was trolling, and he was trolling hard, man. That's the other part about it, is like, I'm old enough to remember a time where everybody was a Freemason and they worshiped the devil per YouTube, right? I remember G. Craig Lewis being like a really prominent dude, man. Like those Truth Behind Hip Hop videos was getting a lot of traction and shit. I remember there also used to be this guy named like the Forerunner 777 or something like that. Like that was the thing, right? And so I remember at the time, man, everybody was talking about Jay-Z, Kanye West, and Rihanna being a part of the Illuminati. Beyonce was also a part of that whole shit. Like they were talking about them being a part of the Illuminati. They sold to the devil, this, that, and the other. And then here's Lil Nas X with a video. Like, yeah, fuck it, then. This is what y'all say I am. Then fuck it, this is what I am then. Right? So now, like, that was the troll. Like, yo, y'all saying this about me anyway. So I'm gonna just go ahead and so now that y'all done said this about me, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do these things. Now what? What else do you have other than that? Right? If what you're saying about me now is this, and this is the worst that you can come up with, and I'm laughing at this, then what else do you have? And that's what the rub was. Like, they kept talking about this as if he was really trying to convince people to worship the devil or this, that, and the other. Like, people really believe their kids are stupid. That's the other part about this. Like everybody talking about how the kids are being influenced by, the music, and the kids are being influenced by what these are rappers and stuff like that. Like, it's the kids, man. We got to protect these kids. Like, honestly, it's like, yo, you telling on yourself that you think your kids are dumb. I don't think your kids, if you taught your kids your truth and your values and everything else, how fucking confident are you in your ability to teach your kids your truth and your values if this one video is going to undo all of that? Right? So yeah, man, Lil Nas X was trolling, man. That's just what it was. And like he got the the response that I, from the predictable niggas that you thought you would get a response from. So the homophobic motherfuckers was coming out and saying some homophobic shit. Like it was like I honestly was not surprised in the least by any of it. Like it was just so predictable. The other part about it was like the outrage over the shoes was so the same company that gave us the shoes, it was like the same sort of like Air Max, I forget, was it like Air Max something, the Air Max 95s, I believe it was. It was the same company or the same little boutique or whatever that came up with the Jesus Air Max, and it had holy water in the air bubble and whatever else, and it had like the crucifix and stuff like that, or like braided in the like the laces and whatever else. And people were like, oh man, this is so sweet, man, I would rock those, man, that's so dope, this, that, and the other. And predictably, when it came to like the devil shoes or whatever, like, man, they need their ass for this shit right here, man. You don't play with no stuff like that. But y'all was basically willing to go out here and buy some Jesus shoes, right? Like they playing on your religion too with the Jesus shoes, but you was cool with that because you got a chance to rock Jesus on your feet, right? For whatever reason, like that level of commercialism, you ain't had no beef on. But like this is where you draw your line. And I get everybody draw their lines in different places, but still, right? All a part of the trolling. So I know they said Nike was suing him, but I believe it was like Nike was suing the actual like people who were like customizing the shoes. I don't know if Lil Nas X actually got sued for that, but I could be mistaken, man. But that's pretty much what I got from that Lil Nas X situation. He also writes in and says, another thing I noticed when you talked about the Kirk Franklin situation with his son, you personalized that story quite a bit. Do you ever worry about it coming across like you're making these topics about you and not the subjects of the topic? I mean, no disrespect with the question. I just wonder if that's something you've thought about. And thank you for the email, Reggie. Nah, man, here's the thing. When I talk about a lot of these stories, when I choose to talk about a lot of the stories that I talk about here on the show, a lot of them are things that I've thought about, or things that are like been really kind of sitting with me over the course of the week, or some news stories that I've been paying attention to over the course of the week. But the thing with like the Kirk Franklin story, it wasn't the first time that I've done that. Like I believe there was Brian Mcknight. Brian Mcknight had a thing that was going on with his kids, where his kids was like kind of putting him out on blast about how uninvolved as a father he was, and some of the reactions that they got, because again, everybody kept talking about his kids being grown. And I can empathize with their situation, because like I said, I felt like it was somewhat similar to mine, but theirs on a much grander scale, because my father never had the notoriety that their fathers had. But part of the reason why I spoke on that the way that I did was because, again, I'm giving you what my perspective was and how I was receiving that story, and then giving you what I thought about it from my perspective. And so, and giving you some of the history of what my relationship was like with my father, it would color how I looked at that particular story. And so that's what I was pretty much trying to bring to you guys was, this is why I think on this the way that I do, is because of this history that I have with my own father. And that's probably why my outlook on it was a little bit different than some of the outlooks that I heard or saw from other folks. So that's where that comes from. And I'm bringing me to these stories and how I relate to them and when I talk to them. And so that's why that happens, man. I'm not really trying to make the stories about me, but I'm relaying to you guys as listeners that the reason why your man Spann feels this way about this is because this is what happened to me, or something similar. And this is why I'm articulating this point the way that I'm doing it, because of, my history and the things that I've, kind of gone through. So that's why it's spoken about in that way. I never really thought that I was making it about me, but if I am, I apologize to those of you who felt like that was what I was doing, but this has never really been my intention. But again, man, appreciate you writing in. Hope to hear from you again soon, man. But that has been our listener feedback. It's time for us to get into the news. All right. Our first story here in the news has to do with Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine and the fact that the FDA has decided that they are going to put that damn vaccine on pause. God damn. Yeah, man. We get this story here. This comes out of clickondetroit.com. It says that United States health officials are calling for the immediate pause of the Johnson & Johnson single-dose COVID-19 vaccine after 6 recipients developed a rare blood clot disorder. The FDA and CDC announced Tuesday morning that they are recommending a pause in the use of the J&J vaccine out of an abundance of caution. The FDA said as of April 12th, more than 6.8 million doses. Let me say that again. 6.8 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine have been administered in the United States. The FDA and CDC are reviewing data involving 6, count them, 6 reported U.S. cases of a rare and severe type of blood clot in individuals after receiving the vaccine. That means the percentage of people who have developed problems from it is only, check this out, man, y'all, 0.00008%. Right? It barely registering, right? It says all 6 cases occurred among women between the ages of 18 and 48, and symptoms occurred 6 to 13 days after the vaccination. Now, the reason why, we're talking about this now, man, is because, we've been talking a lot about, the vaccine hesitancy that, a lot of folks are still having right now about whether or not to get the vaccine. You still got a lot of folks who are wondering about whether or not these vaccines are safe. They feel like the vaccines were brought upon way too fast for their liking. And then, we've been making progress as far as getting more and more people in the United States vaccinated. But then you have something like this, and all of those people who were already hesitant use a story like this to say, see, I told y'all, man, you better not get that goddamn Johnson & Johnson vaccine, man. See, y'all better not, see, this is why I wait. They got to get all the kinks out. They ain't got all the kinks out. And the weird part about this is that, like, yo, man, you've got people, a lot of the same people who will plop down $20, you know what I'm saying, to, like, play the Mega Millions or whatever and get themselves a shot at that $240 million. And they've got a greater chance of getting COVID without the vaccine as opposed to them getting the vaccine and catching the fucking, like, the blood clots and stuff, right? Like, you got a greater chance of actually winning that fucking Mega Millions than you do of catching the blood clots from the vaccine. They've distributed 6.8 million doses of that, and only 6 people out of 6.8 million developed vaccines, and 6 women, right? Now, of course, a lot of folks just be like, man, well, shit, it's just women, though, man. So, like, because people don't care about women the way that they say they do, right? But it's just weird, man. Like, it just becomes this thing, right, where we've essentially got people who have never had any intentions on getting vaccinated, right? Like they just, whatever their reasoning may be, whether it is because of Tuskegee, whether it's because of their own health issues, whether it's because information that they've gotten from the folks around them, whatever their issues may be, what's happening is this, right? You've got a lot of folks who are, you got a lot of folks who are hesitant to go ahead and get the vaccine. But what you also have is, as their fears or their concerns are starting to get knocked down, like, right, some of the reasons why they don't want to get the vaccine, some of those reasonings are starting to get knocked down by factual information. The more we learn about the vaccine, the more information we get about these vaccines. A lot of the concerns that these folks have, if they're actually looking for the information, a lot of those fears and concerns are being knocked down by the facts of the situation. And the more people that we've had vaccinated, and the resulting non-infection of those people who have been vaccinated, right? As we talked about a couple weeks ago, the amount of people who've actually caught COVID-19 after having been fully vaccinated, and how low those numbers were, how rare that situation was. And so what's happening is, because we were getting some momentum with the amounts of folks who were getting vaccinated, this whole Johnson & Johnson pause thing kind of like puts a kibosh on that, right? Or it kind of like slows that down. But here's the other part that that's kind of tripped out. So one of the things that people say is that, yo, man, like they came out with these COVID vaccines way too fast, man. Like I don't trust it, man. They ain't get them tested, man. The FDA, the CDC, man, they kind of rushed this through. They ain't really test this shit, right? But then the FDC, out of an abundance of caution, decides they're like, yo, 6 people got sick off of this shit. We just gonna go ahead and put a pause on that till we figure out what the hell's going on. And then they'll use the same CDC and FDA that they were just decrying a minute ago to say that they didn't test this shit when they say like, nah, we're gonna put a pause on this, right? Is it Uchiwali or is it one Mike? Right? Now, if you broke it down and said, well, it was 6 people, you know, first things people are like, well, shit, I mean, I could be number 7. Who knows? Like, maybe, but the chances of that are infinitesimally small, right? Your chances of catching COVID are a lot greater because we got so many people out here who still, unfortunately, aren't really following the rules in the ways in which we should. So, yeah, man, FDA has paused the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. That doesn't mean that you can't get a vaccine. The Moderna vaccine is still available. The Pfizer vaccine is still available. They just put a pause on the FDA one. And it's somewhat similar to what the European Union did with the AstraZeneca vaccine because they had instances of blood clots happening over in Europe. But I don't have the numbers in front of me right now. But the numbers were similarly small, and they took that vaccine out of rotation out of an abundance of caution because, again, the reason why they're doing this is because they know people are skeptical as is, right? So if they were just like, and then not only that, it's just good practice. If you know some shit out here fucking somebody up, why would you keep going out here like distributing it? Nah, we know we having a little bit of issue with this. Let's go ahead and take that out of here. Let's find out what the hell's going on before we decide if we're going to put that back out of here on the streets or whatever, right? But yo, man, FDA, put a pause on the Johnson & Johnson. That still means you can go out here and get that Moderna or that Pfizer. Go ahead and get y'all goddamn vaccinations, man. Real talk. Another story that we got here in the news. So the officer who shot and killed Daunte Wright in Minneapolis, she has since been charged in his death, man. Yeah, we got video attached to that. So let me go ahead and pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Hold on just a second while I pull that up. All right, let's hope NBC don't fuck with your boy on the copyright shit because they got it on YouTube, man. I mean, come on, you know, but they've been fucking with your boy lately. Let's see what's happening though. Here we go. Let's do that.
Tonight, former police officer Kim Potters arrested and jailed, facing a charge of second-degree manslaughter in the death of 20-year-old Daunte Wright. In a statement, prosecutors say Potter abrogated her responsibility to protect the public when she used her firearm rather than her taser. Her action caused the unlawful killing of Mr. Wright, and she must be held accountable. Potter shot and killed Wright during a traffic stop. The now former officer on the force for 26 years, training a rookie cop that day during what police have called an accident. Law enforcement analysts count at least 16 similar cases of guns mistaken for tasers in the last 20 years, not all fatal. No comment today from Potter's attorney, the police union, or the family of Daunte Wright. The Wright family's attorney speaking out.
Obviously, they are glad she got charged. They do hope and pray for a day that we will get equal justice.
You, me, or anybody else with this skin color would be in silver handcuffs right now with murder charges.
Today, angry reaction to the manslaughter charge from activists involved in 3 straight nights of protests. Now you can see the crowd getting restless, stirring even more. Overnight, at least 79 arrests as police clashed with demonstrators and enforced a curfew. Now, some protest leaders comparing Potter's case to that of former Minneapolis police officer Mohammed Noor in 2017, a black officer convicted of murder and manslaughter after shooting and killing a white woman who'd called 911 for help. Some see a different standard for the white officer killing a black man. You think she should be charged with murder?
Yes, I do think she should be charged with murder, clearly and unequivocally.
Why?
Because of her reckless conduct.
Ron, any idea how the manslaughter charge will play with the crowds out there tonight?
More people seem to be arriving here earlier tonight. They are not satisfied. City officials are pleading for peace as the clock ticks toward another curfew.
All right. So, yeah, that's going on there. But so here's the thing. and I've had some time to like kind of think about this and kind of weigh my thoughts on it and everything, man. And here's the thing. I honestly believe that this officer shooting Daunte Wright, I don't think she meant to do it. I don't think she meant to do it. What I don't believe though is that I thought I had my taser in my hand, right? I can understand like having some level of confusion. There's a lot going on. There's it's a lot, right? I can understand that. It's like the commotion and everything else, right? I can believe she didn't mean to shoot him, but I also believe that she should be held accountable for the fact that she did shoot him. And I don't necessarily buy that you thought you had your taser in your hand. I don't believe that, right? And I don't have anything, like, I'm pretty sure everybody and their mama over the course of this last week or so has been like comparing the weight of a taser to a Glock. Everyone and their mama has been talking about how you carry your gun on your dominant side and your taser on the opposite side. Like, everybody and their mom has been making that comparison. So I don't have anything else to add to that. But I think that she, for one, that was a cover story. But two, I don't think she really meant to shoot him. Excuse me. And that's just like, in a day and time now, we're in a spot where like nuance kind of gets lost, man. It's not always as cut and dry as we want the story to be. Sometimes there's like some messy shit going on, and this is one of those instances where I think there's some messy shit going on where the actual circumstances around this particular thing aren't as cut and dry, right? Now, we can also make arguments about, why the fuck did they pull him over anyway, right? Like, they're talking about they pulled him over for expired tags and stuff, and we all know that like all across the country, like, Secretary of State's offices, the Department of Motor Vehicles and whatever else, they're having backlogs of people driving on expired plates because of COVID, because of the pandemic. People aren't able to get into the office in timely fashions because of the pandemic. And so like pulling someone over for that would be, people see that as egregious because like, yo, man, people just, aren't, able to get to the office because of all of the things that are going on with COVID-19, right? I get that. Then to escalate that into, well, he had an air freshener hanging from the rear view mirror. I got an air freshener hanging from the rear view mirror in my car right now. Like I don't know what the laws are in Minneapolis concerning that. I didn't even think that was like it's one of those like that's one of those, it seems like revenue sort of like laws, right? Where they ticket motherfuckers for that because it's easy money for the state or the city to get, out of people because, people want, like, where the fuck else are you going to put the air freshener, right? So there's that. But then you got the other people who are talking about something, well, all he had to do was comply. We got this, it's gotten to a point with a lot of these shootings where it's become a part of a sad, twisted fucking routine. A sad and twisted routine. And at this particular point, I'm waiting for an officer to be like charged and sentenced, and it being a thing where it's precedent setting, right? Like precedence setting, where it puts police officers on notice throughout the country that this sort of behavior won't necessarily be tolerated by the society at large, because far too often what we're finding out is a lot of these officers are being let go. A lot of these officers aren't being charged at all. Some of these officers are being charged with reduced sorts of charges and shit like that. So like right now in this particular instance, you got people who are talking about, manslaughter isn't enough, maybe not. But I'm at a point right now where I want something. So like, let's give her like the maximum that manslaughter can give right now, right? Let's give her that, because some sort of, some level of recompense needs to be had. Some level of accountability needs to be had by these police officers. And again, like I said, I don't believe that she actually meant to shoot the dude. Like, I just don't believe that she really meant to do that. But the ultimate result was she did shoot him. He did lose his life, and she's responsible for that. So she should be held accountable for that. Like, these aren't the sorts of mistakes that we can afford, like, especially in that line of work. Like, we can't afford these sorts of mistakes, so to speak. And then to make matters worse, she's like head of the, like, president of the fucking union, and she's like been training officers for 26 years. Like, how are you training motherfuckers for 26 years and like you fucked this up? So yeah, man. I'm just tired of like talking about these sorts of stories, because like it's becoming a part of like a sad routine, man. Like, people and I've heard this, people are acting as though, and I heard this shit, real cynical motherfuckers have been talking as though like, yo, we gonna stop hearing about Black Lives Matter. We're gonna stop hearing about police shootings the minute Joe Biden wins for the presidency. See, the reason why we hearing about this shit right now is because they're trying to keep everybody fired up, man. They're trying to keep everybody fired up. So when y'all go to the polls, y'all vote for Joe Biden. And the minute Joe Biden get elected, we ain't gonna hear about this shit no more. As if they forgot that fucking Barack Obama was president when we first started hearing about a lot of this shit. When Black Lives Matter first became a thing, Barack Obama was president of the United States. When we started seeing videos of the police, like on a more grand scale, where like, it's when hashtags became a thing with people's names of them being wrongfully killed by the police. We had Barack Obama as president. So it didn't just stop because Donald Trump was no longer the fucking president of the United States. It's still going on. But now it's become just like a part of our fucking routine. And I'm trying not to get lulled into that idea of it's just routine for us to see it now. Because before we could just talk about it. But now, like, you got people sharing, cops killing folks, like seeing the videos and stuff, like these snuff videos, like sharing it like it's like see, like I don't need to see that. It's getting to that point, man. Like, I'm like, yo, I don't need to see it. And sometimes, like, I would feel obligated to watch those because of like the fact that I do the show, like because I do the podcast. I felt like I was obligated to watch it sometimes because I knew it was going to be something that people like are talking about and that we should be talking about here. But ultimately, it's getting to a point where it's like, yo, man, it's only so much you can take of this shit. And I'm at that point where I'm just like, it's here, it's up here, man. So, yeah, she got charged in his death. She was charged with manslaughter. Let's see going forward what's going to happen with this particular case, whether or not they prosecuted with the same vigor that they're prosecuting Derek Chauvin with right now, right? So that's in the news. Excuse me. Another story that we got here in the news is 13-year-old Adam Toledo killed by Chicago police. Yeah, man. So I did see the video of this young boy being killed by the Chicago police. But we're going to read this story here because I'm not going to play that video. We're going to read this story here from the Chicago Sun-Times. It says a police watchdog agency Thursday released a video showing a Chicago police officer making a split-second decision to shoot Adam Toledo after seeing what appeared to be a gun in the hand of the 13-year-old boy whose arms were raised when he was shot and killed. Police have said that they found a gun at the scene of the shooting and that it was the weapon Adam was holding. The body cam video doesn't show Adam throwing away the weapon before he was shot. When his hands were raised, he didn't appear to be holding the weapon. Another video shows Adam apparently throwing something through a gap on the other side of the fence. And police video shows officers discovering the gun at that spot. The officer's body camera shows the officer chasing Adam down an alley in Little Village at about 3:28 a.m. on March 29th. The officer yells, "Police, stop," and then orders him to show his hands. The video shows Adam standing in a large gap in the wooden fence with his side to this officer and what appears to be a gun behind his back. In less than 0.85 seconds from that moment, the officer shot Adam, whose hands were raised almost to his shoulders. He crumbles to the ground, and another officer immediately calls for an ambulance. Yeah, I saw the video. So I'm from Chicago. I talk to a lot of my folks, from back home. And there's a couple different things going on here. I've seen people talking about what was the 13-year-old doing out at that time of night. And why he had a gun on him. Right. I've seen that. And the other side to this is the police asking him to put his hands up, yet not giving him enough time to surrender and put his hands up. Like he had thrown the gun away and he was attempting to surrender when he was shot. And I feel as though this is going to be one of those instances over the course of this spring and this summer where there are going to be a lot of people upset at the fact that this officer isn't going to be charged with his death because of the fact that young Adam Toledo had a firearm nearby and supposedly tossed it, right? Despite the fact that he was attempting to surrender, right? He had his hands up. He was trying to put his hands up when the officer shot him. And shit, man. He was trying to surrender when the officer shot him. 13-year-old kid losing his life. And it's just one of those things, man, where like, yeah, you kind of wonder why was a kid out there, but at the same time, like, yo, give him the opportunity to surrender before you take his life. Like, and we see instances so many times when a mass. This is the thing that gets it that pisses people off, is that in so many different instances we see mass shooters, right? We see people who have committed mass murder, have shot multitudes of people, and yet somehow, some way, the police are able to bring those dudes to justice or like to apprehend these guys and like bring them safely into the station. And yet, when it comes to instances of like, say, for instance, this Adam Toledo or even Daunte Wright, where a minor traffic incident or a minor traffic violation results in him being shot as opposed to tased, or in this case, Adam Toledo trying to surrender and not being given the opportunity to because he was shot before he ever got his hands all the way up. Right? It's one of those instances where, like, you kind of wish you had the answers, but you don't really. And that's where I'm at with it at this point, because again, like I said, it's becoming it's at a point where I just feel like all of these things, man, are just starting to just become so fucking routine that we're becoming numb to it, that we get into our routine, man. So the body cam footage is released. Everyone is rightfully outraged. We call for the prosecution of the police officer. The police officers union says that, like, yo, what we're calling for is overreach from the public. And then we got like Benjamin Crump out there advocating for the family. And then like we got community advocates are out there like, yo, man, we need to send a message to law enforcement, but we can't do this anymore. And then like, the prosecutors are out here and they give them these mealy mouth ass charges. And then like, maybe they don't even get charged at all. Maybe they don't even prosecute the case hard enough to the grand jury, and the grand jury decides they're not going to indict. And then maybe just maybe they go to trial, and then like they go to trial and like, they might get convicted, but chances are they might not. And like they don't. And then it's like the cycle, man. And I'm just tired of the cycle. I'm tired of us like being on this motherfucking exercise bike of police killing us. And us going through the same process over and over and over again. This is like, it's like watching the same fucking movie all the time. Like, man, it's only so many times I can watch like Menace to Society, right? It's only so many times, like at a certain point in Menace to Society, I'm sure they got tired of watching that damn robbery tape. That's what a lot of this starts to feel like, man. And you want justice to like kind of like met itself out, but like, what is justice? To some degree, what is that? What do we qualify as that? Is it the family, like, getting like monetarily rewarded for the loss of their loved one because they, the city now has to pay out a settlement to the family? Is it the police officer finally being locked up and thrown away? I think the ultimate victory will be some real, like, stringent legislation, like tangible legislation that kind of like takes away qualified immunity from these police officers, man. Take away that qualified immunity. And not only just like, because I know Maryland just did this, but I think that should be like a nationwide sort of platform, like federal, like, you know, you can't as a police officer take someone's life and not be held accountable for it. Especially in certain circumstances. We know that the nature of the job is a little bit different. But because of the nature of the job being a little bit different, you should also be held to a little bit different standard because of what we are trusting the police officers to do every day. So, yeah, man, that's in the news, man. 13-year-old Adam Toledo shot and killed by Chicago police. Another story that we got here in the news, man, is the state of Tennessee. The state of Tennessee could actually owe my alma mater, Tennessee State University. Check this out. They could owe the school $544 million. God damn. Yeah, man. They've been robbing my school blind. This is actually something that this is actually a topic that was like talked about even back then when I was in school. So we get the story here. This comes out of yahoonews.com. It says the Tennessee State University could soon expect a payday of nearly $500 million for the recovery of land grant funds. Excuse me. The recovery of land grant funds to which they were entitled. A joint committee of the legislature of the state of Tennessee recently deliberated about $544 million sum owed to Tennessee State University, referencing unpaid land grant matches by the state that date back several years, according to the story by WTVF. The agreement held that Tennessee was to match dollar for dollar the money allotted by the federal government to both Tennessee State University and the University of Tennessee to fund the institutions upon the founding of TSU. Representative Harold Love Jr. says that the grants would have appropriated 75% of the funds to UT and 25% to TSU. However, the HBCU's funding was often inconsistent or never allocated. There's another ratio under review that sets the dollar amount owed to TSU around $150 million. Still, regardless of the actual sum, TSU President Dr. Glenda Glover is convinced that the state of Tennessee owes the university. Acknowledging past and present discrepancies in public HBCU funding, Dr. Glover said, "We know there's been some past ills among HBCUs across the country when it comes to land grant matches." She continued, "I'm so happy that Tennessee is taking the lead in this process because I'm talking to other presidents of land grant institutions in the 1890s. I'm talking to other presidents of land grant institutions in the 1890s. We all had the same problem. Some committee members were questioning the validity of the debt on the grounds that the figures haven't been evaluated since the onset of the program. However, according to the Representative Love, the ratio is arbitrary to the fact that the state has not held its end of the bargain. The argument that we don't know what the ratio is, that it doesn't hold water. We've been funding those 75-25 from the federal government. TSU sometimes is not getting their money, and TSU is not getting paid dollar for dollar. Dr. Glover, without the expectation of, Dr. Glover's without the expectation that money will be retributed in a single payment of $500 million, but is optimistic that the conversation alone is a proactive step towards retribution and necessary aid. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, man. So, as someone who used to have to deal with the financial aid office, right? I was one of those students who never really got all of the money that I was supposed to get via financial aid, whether that be the FSEOG grants, grant money. I got my Pell Grant money, and I got my student loan money. I didn't always get all of the monies that I was associated. And I got my scholarship money for being in the honors program, right? Never really got all of the money that I was still supposed to get as a student, right? And part of the reason why we didn't get that money was because Tennessee State didn't have the funds available. So a lot of the FSEOG money, you got that if you got your paperwork in time, right? So like those funds were first come, first served. And once they were gone, they were gone. But if Tennessee State had actually gotten all of the monies that they were supposed to have gotten, more of us would have gotten that money, right? And so this has been happening over the course of, like, I believe they said this is like almost 40 years of Tennessee State not getting the monies that they were supposed to get allocated, right? So the question becomes, What happened to all of the goddamn money? If University of Tennessee is supposed to get 75% of the money and Tennessee State is supposed to get 25% of that money, then what happened to Tennessee State's 25%? Did UT get all of it? And does now UT owe that money back to Tennessee State University? Like, how does that work? How do you reallocate those funds? How do you get those? How do you make Tennessee State whole in this situation? Is it retroactive? Like, can those funds? No, they probably wouldn't be retroactive, but still, nigga, think about itself for a second, right? Make it about me. No, no, but I'm just saying, like, think about all of the students who went to that school who weren't able to reap the benefits of that money that should have been provided to them as students of that school, right? Think about how that could have helped with the facilities and shit. Like, I remember if you stayed in Boyd Hall, man, Jesus, or Watson, shout out to those of us who were lucky enough to stay in Hale Hall or some shit like that. But Boyd and Watson could have definitely used those funds, right? The Gentry Center could have probably used some of those funds. The Whole could have probably used some of those funds. So, like, the fact that the HBCUs were the ones who were regularly shorted their funds. Like, and not only that, like, this reminds me also of I remember when Donald Trump first became president and he started talking about what he was going to do for all of HBCUs and stuff. And he's like using it as take a shot at Obama and everything else. And there was that photo of all of those HBCU presidents standing around Donald Trump as Donald Trump is holding court in the Oval Office. And one of the things that kind of hurt me was the fact that Tennessee State University's president was right there, right next to him and shit, front and center, because they needed that funding. And the fact that Tennessee State was already owed money and they felt like we were in a position where they felt that they had to go to the president to go beg for more money is what's galling to me, because we were supposed to already have it. And that was nothing more than what would we call it? A photo op for Donald Trump. But the fact that those university presidents, those HBCU university presidents, found themselves at the mercy of Donald Trump and the Oval Office being used as props for a photo op to make it appear as though Donald Trump was actually attempting to try to do anything for the HBCUs when he was actually taking money from the HBCUs. That was even more insulting, was the fact that Donald Trump was actually taking money out of the federal budget that was allocated towards HBCUs. He wasn't giving them more money. He was taking money from them. But the photo op was what he was after. And so to know that, like I said, they were supposed to already have this fucking money and the state just wasn't matching the funds is man, it's fucking galling, bro. But that has been the goddamn news, man. Jesus Christ, let's get the fuck out of that shit. But y'all know what time it is.
What in blue blazes is going on out here? Did this nigga just say blue blazes?
Yes, indeed, y'all. Yes, indeed. It is Blue Blazes time here at the Spann Report Podcast. And our first story here at Blue Blazes has to do with, yet again, Lisa Ray and the Brat. Now, I come bearing good news, y'all. I come bearing good news because apparently, our long national nightmare is over. Lisa Ray and her damn sister, the Brat, that made up. Yeah, man. We get this story here. This comes out of the yahoonews.com. It says the heartfelt reunion was shared on Jermaine Dupri's Instagram stories. In an emotional video, Lisa Ray McCoy and the Brat seemingly in their feud with a tearful embrace at the Brat's recent birthday party. As Griot previously reported, Lisa Ray and the Brat stopped speaking to each other at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, leading to months-long, almost radio silence between the siblings. Now it seems the sisters have finally buried the hatchet, ending their feud in a video from the Brat's birthday party. In the video from Jermaine Dupri's Instagram story, the Brat and Lisa Ray pulled each other in for a tearful hug. In the video, the Brat can be seen saying at the party attendees, "This is too much for me," while holding back tears. As the Griot reported last September, the Brat surprised her sister on the Fox Soul show Cocktails with Queens in a tense exchange. Lisa Ray called out her sister on air and told her co-hosts Vivica A. Fox, Selena Johnson, and Claudia Jordan that she felt hurt by her sister. Excuse me. Said the brat told her sister on air, "Punk, you know how much I love you. You know how much you mean to me. You know, since I was a child, you always been there. You always gave me good advice." All right. Now, all I'm gonna say is this. We are happy. You always gave me good advice. Oh shit. We are happy for them. we applaud siblings coming together and burying hatchets and all that other good shit, man. All we do right now is we pray, right? We got to pray just to make it today. No, I say we pray that the brat, if you got anything to tell anybody, please, Lord, please just call your sister first, man, because we don't want to hear this shit. We don't want to be right back here, man, on some like, how come I got to find out what everybody else has? Like, we don't want to be right back here, man. We don't want your sister on TV calling all her co-hosts like bitches and shit like this. I'm like, because y'all don't know shit. Y'all don't know shit. This y'all bitches need to shut the fuck up. Y'all don't know shit. We don't need another episode. Your sister on Iyanla Vanzant fixed my life. Found out her daughter don't really fuck with her. Her mama don't really fuck with her. And all this shit because I got to find out what everybody else ass motherfucker. So please, brat, please save us all the headache. Call your sister. Like, even if you got like some new shoes dropping. Hey, so all right, so she says, check this out. So I got some shoes coming out. I got a little deal with like the Patrick Ewings and shit, right? So go ahead and let you know beforehand, before I drop this Instagram post, that I got some new shoes. I got new colorways. You know, I got the Chicago Bulls colorway. I got the White Sox colorway. I got the Cubs colorway. I got the Bears colorway. I even got Chicago Sky, girl. I got Chicago Sky. I'm calling you first though, because I don't need no problems. I don't need you on your TV show cussing out your co-host anytime I show up. So I'm calling you right now to let you know that this is going on. All right. Is that cool with you? Is that all right? Is everything copacetic? Okay, girl. I love you too. Bye. Right? Call your sister. Call your sister, man. Long National Nightmare is over. The brat and Lisa Ray. They friends again. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So that's in Blue Blazes. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazes, man. So I know we all talk about this, right? We all kind of talk about this. Like, everybody got this scenario, man. It's like niggas be dreaming up scenarios. So check this out, bro. So say you walk past a bag, right, in the park. You walk past a bag in the park, and the bag got like $500,000 in it, right? Do you take that bag, or do you leave it where it's at, right? And everybody, like, you know, we always like hypothetical, like, shit, nigga, I'm taking the motherfucker back. And then you always got someone, man, I don't know. Somebody could be watching that motherfucker bag, man. I don't know. Right? So somebody actually lived this. Not in exactly those terms, but they actually lived it. So we get this story here. This comes out of Yahoo. It says Kellen Spadoni allegedly transferred the fund. I'm sorry. Kellen Spadoni is the name of this of the woman who came into a windfall, y'all. Because apparently this Louisiana woman had, $1.2 million. $1.2 million is accidentally deposited into her bank account, man. Now, she allegedly transferred the funds from Charles Schwab to another account immediately after she seen this motherfucking money in her account. Let's see, Kellen Spadoni, 33, of Harvey, Louisiana, allegedly refused to return more than $1.2 million she mistakenly received from Charles Schwab and Company, according to NOLA.com. The suspect allegedly immediately transferred them to another account. She was arrested on Wednesday. She secreted it, and they were not able to access it, said a sheriff's office spokesperson, Captain Jason Rivard. Before receiving the funds, Spadoni had opened an account with Charles Schwab and Company in January. Recently, the company installed an enhancement to the program that they use to transfer assets. On February 23rd, when the company meant to place $82.56 into Spadoni's account, they mistakenly deposited $1,205,619 in her account per court documents. Now, I'm going to just tell you this right now, man. I'm going to tell you this right now. I can see where Kelly Spadoni seen that damn money in her checking account. I'm sorry, her brokerage account, whatever fucking account it was, man. She saw that money, and you know how we do. You know what I'm saying? We look at shit like that, like that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? That came from the Lord. Like you looking at your checking account like. Man, she been changed for real. You know what I'm saying? Change zip codes, change area codes, change address, everything. Phone number change. I'm changing everything, nigga. I got cash, baby. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Y'all ain't gonna, I don't do the same things I used to. You know, I've upgraded my life. You know, the Lord saw fit for me to upgrade my life. And you know what? I'm going to upgrade my life in ways that y'all never thought of right now. Let's see what she spent that money on, though. It said the company tried to reverse the action, but Spadoni had already transferred the funds. She later purchased a house. See, told you she changed area codes. And a brand new 2021 Hyundai Genesis. Now, listen. I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Shorty got taste. So the Genesis, right? Your man Spann been eyeing a Genesis GV80. The 2021, I think, no, probably like a 2022 because they came out this year. So 2022 Genesis GV80, nigga. I sat in one of those last weekend, right? Going to go take my wife's car to go get an oil change and shit like that. Go, you know, take care of her stuff. And I roll past the dealership like, you know, it might be time for me to try, like, I'm looking for something for me, you know? And I'm looking at the GV80 and, yo, man, the Genesis is nice, man. A lot of you motherfuckers are sleeping on those Genesis. Like, and it's reasonable. It was only $80,000. Now, I know y'all like, yo, Spann, only $80,000. But no, hear me out now. Hear me out. For a similarly spec'd out Cadillac, you might be spending close to $100. You get similarly spec'd out Mercedes-Benz, $115 maybe. You know, they ain't cheap. No, they ain't cheap. But that GV80, nigga. So maybe that's what she got. She said 2021. So it might have been not the GV80. She might have just got the G80, which is the sedan, which is still nice as fuck, though. See, the thing is, she up on that new shit. That's what I'm saying. She up on that new shit, not that old shit. She upgrading when niggas don't even know what they upgrading to. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what $1.2 million in your checking account that don't belong to you will do to you. Okay? That's what she was out here doing. All right. It said the company tried to reverse the action, but okay, I already read that part. She said she has no legal claim to that money added Rivard, even if it were put in there by mistake. It was an accounting error. Spadoni is now being sued by Charles Schwab in federal court and has been charged with theft valued at over $25,000, bank fraud, and illegal transmission of monetary funds. She was also fired from a job for 4.5 years as a 911 dispatcher for the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office. She was probably thinking about quitting anyway when she got that $1.2 million. I'm just saying. Like they did her a favor. No. She is currently being held in Gretna at Jefferson Parish Correctional Center on a $50,000 bond per court record. So, yeah, man, you got to turn that money in, man. I'll never forget getting like a what was that? It was my phone bill was mysteriously getting paid off. And I'm like, man, how in the fuck I got like an $800 credit on my phone bill? Like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, yo, man, should I just leave it alone? You know what I'm saying? Maybe this is God blessing me. You know what I'm saying? Turns out, no, that's not what it was. They was in there in the office fucking up. And generally speaking, that's usually what it is. Somebody in the office fucking up. But yo, that's been in Blue Blazers. Another story that we got here in Blue Blazers, like yo, so Usher was in the club. He wanted to make love. No, I'm sorry. Probably wouldn't try to make love in the club. They probably wouldn't make love in the club in him anyway, because he's accused of making it rain in a strip club with fake money, yo. Yeah, man. So we get the story here. This comes out of MadamNoir.com. It says, embarrassingly, Usher is now trending on Twitter and being called out for his alleged antics following an exotic dancer's recent claim that the performance she'd given him had been paid for using fake money with the singer's face printed on instead of actual dollar bills. Originally shared via her private account before it was reposted on the Instagram stories of her public one, User B Love took to the platform recently to ask her followers what they would do if they were in her shoes. According to her post, after performing for Usher, the dancer was allegedly played in unusable and counterfeit $1 bills printed with a profile shot of the singer and his name on them. What would you do, ladies, if you danced all night for Usher and he threw this? Her initial post asked, sharing her rightful unhappiness with not being fairly compensated for her performance. She continued speaking on Usher's alleged form of payment and added, so disrespectful, this is foul, working so hard to get nothing in return, this is a joke. Their job is to entertain. Take your cheap ass back home. Now, listen. I get it. I am a cheap ass, which is why I don't even go to the strip club no more, man. I remember, never forget this, man. Went to the damn ATM to go get some more money out, so I go ahead and tip the girl some more, and I'll be goddamn. The damn ATM was like, "Yo, nigga, give me $20 so you can get another 50." Like, nigga, what? Like that's what we doing? I mean, I was really here for the chicken wings, man, but y'all talking about $50, $20 to get my own money? Fuck out of here. So yeah, they taxing in the strip club. Now, Usher has means. A lot more means to me, right? He has absolutely no business. I mean, no business at all. Usher bucks, nigga? Really? Usher bucks? Like, you can't buy your way into heaven with the Usher bucks. You can't even, like, the pastor see that in the damn collection plate. He gonna, like, he flipping the tables of the damn money changers and shit in the church, and he the money changer. Right? Usher bucks, man. And the money does not have trade-in value whatsoever. Laugh my ass off. Don't y'all think he should be blasting on social media for this shit? On Twitter, people have been reacting to the dancer's allegations all day in hilarious, thought-provoking, and opinionated tweets. And a repost of what B Love shared, user Birds of Prey has gained over 16,000 likes with a tweet that read, Usher throwing fake money at a strip club to hard-working women. And in replies, one user funnily came up with the name for the singer's fake currency and referred to it as Ush Bucks. Meanwhile, another user relevantly said, I'm still thinking about this shit. You couldn't do this with any other service. If you gave this to a waitress for your food bill or to a clothing store, you'd be arrested. Same rules should apply. I'm going to just say this right now, man. I don't really believe that Usher did not pay. I can't believe it. I can't believe Usher did not pay nothing for the strip club. Like, somebody got something. Now, I've heard that, he's got like a residency or some shit like that going on in Las Vegas. And that's kind of like, this has kind of brought some notoriety to that. And maybe that was a scheme the whole time, like to get people talking about him, because who the fuck knew Usher had a residency in Las Vegas other than maybe the people in Las Vegas. But, yo, man, the fact that Usher was in the club, man, possibly throwing around fake dollars with his face on it, though. Like, that's even more tripped out with his face on it. That's crazy. And that's part of the reason why that's in Blue Blazes, man. Usher and then throwing bucks. This is let's see, we got Collapses 28 says Usher trying to get ran up on in the parking lot. And ain't nobody gonna run up on Usher. Maybe, I'm sorry. Tom ran up on Usher. Y'all remember Tom, right? Tom ran up on Usher when he thought he was like he was doing his mom. When Tom thought his wife was cheating on him with Usher on the Boondocks. I remember that. And he messed around and slapped Usher and he got the beat down in his life. Yeah, man, maybe that'll happen. You run up on Usher, maybe his bodyguards, show you the business end of a steel-toed boot or something. But no, I just don't believe, man, that man went in there, had dancers dancing for him, and he didn't give them no level of compensation, man. I refuse, man. I refuse to believe it. But that's in Blue Blazes. Now, another story that we got here in Blue Blazes is so we had this story here. It's an update actually, where there was a Riverside, California family that had bought a home. It's considered like their dream home. And I'm sorry. Excuse me. But like they had bought this dream home from this dude. And they couldn't move in because my man, after he got their money, refused to move the fuck out. And he refused to move the fuck out. And they couldn't evict him because COVID-19 restrictions were like keeping people from getting evicted from their homes, right? Well, apparently this family in Riverside, California has finally been able to move into their home after the dude moved out. Yeah, man, we get a story here. This comes out of foxla.com. It says, after 15 months of soaring legal bills and 1,000 tears, Tracy Albert finally walked through the front door of her new home on Sky Ridge Drive in Riverside. As a matter of fact, is there a video attached to this? Let me see if there's video attached to this. Yes, there is. Hold on a second. Let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Hold on just a second while we do this here. All right. And here we go. Let's see what they're talking about here in Riverside.
The sound of that bolt cutter is the sound of a new beginning for the Albert family. After neighbors notified the family the former sellers turned squatters had finally left the premises. Fox 11, the only camera there, as Tracy Albert stepped inside her Hilltop Riverside home as an owner for the first time. It was emotional.
It's like relief, but yeah, it's overwhelming.
It all started in January 2020. The sale closed, but the seller refused to turn over the keys to Tracy and Miles Albert. They sought an eviction through the courts, but then COVID and new laws were put into effect protecting people from eviction. The buyers, the Alberts, were stuck.
It was our life savings to purchase the house, and then on top of that, we've had to make HOA payments. Now all the repairs that we're going to have to do, the payments that we've been responsible for monthly.
Last October, Tracy attempted to get into her home with the help of a locksmith. The seller turned squatter brought a tire iron and a confrontation. A friend recorded it.
You want to fight?
The sheriffs were called by the squatter, and the Alberts were thrown off their own property.
He's very threatening.
He was.
Very threatening. He would go after us personally. He threatened that we were harassing him. When I talked to sheriffs and attorneys, they said he was correct, that if I came to try and get into my house, I could be arrested.
The story caught the attention of Argina Silva.
That's actually kind of crazy though, right? Because I believe that, like, they paid, what is that? Almost $500,000 for that house. Like, can you imagine, like, you spend $500,000 on a house and you plan on moving into that house, and the guy that you bought the house from is still staying there, refusing to leave, and he's sitting on the money that you gave him, like the $500,000. Like, nigga, I done gave you $500,000 and you won't leave, and now you saying like you ain't gonna leave? Like, bro, that's a lot, man. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. I'm surprised the old boy ain't show up missing, like came up missing or some shit like that. Oh, Southside Spann. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just saying, man, like, that's crazy. The thought that somebody can give you $500,000 for your home and you're like, you know what? I think I'll stay. That's pretty much what he did to them.
And her story put pressure on the squatter.
It's incredibly enraging that someone has to go through something like she's been through for 15 months. No one in Riverside, no one in the state, no one bothered to help. The only one that's actually bothered to help is you guys.
Usually when you take possession.
All right. So hold on, we got somebody in chat. Collapses 28 says, I don't feel bad for any of them. She got a MAGA vibe. You know what? Like, all right, like I feel you, fam. I do, because I don't fuck with them people either, right? I don't fuck with them people either. But like, right is right, wrong is wrong, man. And like, you pay for a house, like, you plan to move into this house. I'm sure over the course of the process to buy the house, he knew they plan on moving in, and then COVID hit, and he's like, well, you know what? Fuck it, I ain't got to go nowhere. And he just decides to stay. That's fucked up, man. Like, even though I don't, if they were Trump supporters, man, I get it. I don't fuck with them either. But wrong is wrong, man. We can't. I get it, man. I get it though. And let's see. Horatio is like, oh, dude would still be missing right now. Hey, man, I'm saying, like, did he not come outside? You know what I'm saying? Like, did he not come outside? I'm sure the motherfucker went to go get, wait, you know what? Maybe he didn't. You know, they bring your groceries to your house now. You ain't even got to leave the house. Like, all your damn, like, before, I remember, okay, so I'm gonna date myself a little bit. I'm old enough to remember where, like, the only thing that was getting delivered to your house was pizza, right? Like, how many people was getting, like, Chinese food delivered? I mean, maybe outside of New York, because I know in New York they're probably delivering everything. But, like, how many people was getting, like, Chinese food delivered, or getting, like, Mediterranean food delivered, or getting, like, shit, McDonald's delivered? That wasn't a thing until, like, DoorDash and, like, Grubhub and Uber Eats and all this other shit. Like, that wasn't a thing. And so now, like, shit, so long as he had $500,000 out of their pocket, so he was probably just in there chilling, bro. Like this nigga was like, he left the motherfucking property. I remember, I think the last time I read this story, they was talking about they was coming over there to like water the lawn and shit, and he was like shooing their ass away. Like, I shouldn't be laughing, man, because this is actually kind of fucked up. But still, man, she like the hat. He talking about the hat and the flannel. Come on, man. Hey, I get it. But still, man, he was wrong, man. He was wrong. Whether they MAGA folks or not, man, he was wrong, man. Like he was dead wrong. We can't. Oh shit. William Billy, like last scene with doing that. Man, listen, this nigga ain't came home. This nigga ain't came outside in 15 months. And then suddenly, like they find, like he finally decided, like, you know what? I guess it's time for me to get the fuck on the body. I'm gonna leave.
Possession of a new home. It's left in pristine fashion. Of course, not the case today. We look at what we have here: a gardening tool, some other tools left behind, padlock. Not what you would hope for, but at least the Albert family is back inside.
Bathroom over here in a closet, full bath.
Finally, last night, the neighbors said that the squatters left. The law says once they're out, their claims to property are gone.
It's been a hard year.
In Riverside, Laura Diaz, Fox 11.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. But yo, man, that's been Blue Blazers, y'all.
What in blue blazes is going on out here? This nigga just say blue blazes.
But we got some
Alex, so many other
shit.
things too. I mean, this is such welcome news.
We got stuff like playing, and I ain't even like hitting the button on it, man. Fuck y'all. Let's go to. We got another segment, y'all.
You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job. Get this thing. You about to lose your job.
All right. We got some folks out here losing their jobs, man. They're losing their jobs, man. And some of them, deservedly so. Can't really feel sad for them. Can't really feel bad about it, you know? Like, see, that was the weird thing about that story, right? That was a weird thing about that story because, like, maybe they were Trump supporters, right? And that story made me feel bad for Trump supporters. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a human. You know what I'm saying? Right is right and wrong is wrong. But still, you know, it feels like weird. Yo, man, but we got some more story. We got lose your job going on, man. So our first story here in lose your job has to do with the police officers that we was talking about last week, right? So we were talking about last week the two police officers that pulled over. Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario in Virginia. I believe it was what's the name of that store? Windsor, Virginia. Well, the officer who pepper sprayed Second Lieutenant Nazario, has been let go from his goddamn job, man. And I'm just saying,
Got him.
yeah, man. So we get this story here. This comes out of the Associated Press. It says one of two police officers accused of pepper spraying and pointing their guns at a black army officer during a traffic stop have since been fired. A Virginia town announced late Sunday, hours after the governor called for an independent investigation into the case. The town of Windsor said in a statement that it joined calls from election officials, including Governor Ralph Northam, in requesting an investigation by Virginia State Police into the December 2020 encounter in which two Windsor officers were accused of drawing their guns, pointing them at U.S. Army Second Lieutenant Karan Nazario, and using a slang term to suggest he was facing execution. Nazario was also pepper sprayed and knocked to the ground by the officers, Joe Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker, according to the lawsuit he filed earlier this month against them. The two sides in the case dispute what happened, but Crocker wrote in a report that he believed Nazario was eluding police and he considered it a high-risk traffic stop. Attorney Jonathan Arthur told the Associated Press that Nazario wasn't trying to elude the officer, but was trying to stop in a well-lit area. In a statement Sunday, Windsor officials said an internal investigation open at the time into the use of force determined that department policy wasn't followed. Officials said disciplinary action was taken and Gutierrez has since been fired. I'm going to just say this here right now, man. The firing came as a result of the attention that was given to said case, right? That's the only reason why my man is gone today. This is the reason why this nigga that lost his goddamn job is because of the attention that was given to this case. Because this incident happened 5 months ago, right? 5 months ago is when this incident happened. It was December. It was wintertime. It was 2020. It was so last year, right? And the reason why this dude was finally let go is because more eyeballs and more attention was being given to this particular case after the release of that video. And that is why this dude has been fired. So I don't know if we can necessarily give the Windsor Police Department any kudos on this shit. Like, they did what was right when it was, like, you know, expedient for them to do so in the moment. But they let this shit ride for 5 months, man. 4-5 months, something like that. So yeah, man, like I'm sure they've had access to said video for quite some time, man. Like, we're just now seeing it. They've been aware of this video for a while. And so for that reason, although you just, you know, you celebrate the fact that we have one less bad cop on the street, you also just kind of like take into consideration, like, yo, man, it took everybody finding out about the shit for y'all to finally decide, like, yo, we gotta let this motherfucker go. And so yeah, man. That's in lose your job. We got collapses. I'm on this one. I'm on the opposite side. That lieutenant was acting like an ass. I'm gonna say this right now, man. Here's the thing. If you aren't feeling safe about, you know, around the police or whatever else, one of the things that the police tell you to do, right, is to pull over in a well-lit area where other people can be there and you've got other people like just kind of watching the situation. Police will tell you that. Like, because there's this thing where like there's this thing here in Michigan where, like, we're not used to police officers driving in like Ford F-150s and shit, right? And I remember when I used to live in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, and there was this one area around, for those of you who are familiar with the areas, like Joy Road and Telegraph, where Redford police were using a unmarked Ford F-150 to, you know, execute traffic stops. Now, if you're not used to seeing a fucking Ford F-150 that's unmarked pulling you over, you might believe that, like, yo, this is some shady shit going on here. I don't know what the fuck. I ain't pulling over, because these motherfuckers could be, you know, they could be impersonated police, right? I ain't pulling the fuck over immediately, man. Fuck that. I'm scared. I don't know what the fuck's going on. Now, one of the things that they tell you to do is, like, okay, so if you feel like, if you don't feel comfortable pulling over, call the police, call 911 while you're in your car and tell them the situation. You know, these are things that you kind of like pick up as, you know, trust me, as Black folks, we've kind of had to learn all of this shit, right? But these are the things that they kind of tell you, like, yo, get on the phone, call 911, say, like, okay, so there's a cruiser or someone following me that's attempting to pull me over. I'm not sure if they're actually police to say nothing. Now, I'm not sure that's exactly what his situation was, but he decided that he was going to pull over in a well-lit area, right? The other part about this is that, like, yo, the white cop, despite the fact that he thought this was like a high-risk motherfucking stop or whatever, wasn't as egregious as the Hispanic cop that pulled up and, like, started talking greasy and reckless and everything else. Like, dude had his hands out of the vehicle, and this is something that I do. When I'm pulled over by the cops, my hands are out of the fucking vehicle before they ever walk up to the car. I roll my window down. I put both hands outside of the car. Why? Because chances are I do have a firearm on me when I'm riding. So I don't want them to, like, and they have a, you know, they run my place. They probably know he's licensed. He probably has a gun in the car with him. So I don't want them to have any motherfucking inclinations whatsoever to feel threatened by me. So he had his hands out. And he's talking to them. They're asking him to get out of the car, and he's asking them. He's not raising his voice at them. He's not being belligerent, but he's asking them questions like, "What's going on? Why am I being pulled over?" And the thing is, police have a duty, honestly, to de-escalate that situation, not escalate the situation to where you're getting you're starting to give conflicting sort of commands and this, that, and things like that. So, like, when you're scared already, because, you know, he's got the gun out, and, like, you know, you got both of these officers that got their gun out, and they're talking to you aggressively. You don't want to, like, do anything that's gonna cost you to lose your fucking life, man. Like, real talk, you just don't. So he might not have necessarily acted in the way that you thought he should have acted, but I don't think that he was acting like like a belligerent ass or anything. I think he legitimately and genuinely wanted to know what the fuck was going on and why does it require me to leave my car. And honestly, man, I think we've gotten to a point, man, with the police where, hey, man, y'all need to explain some of this shit, man. Like, you don't treat certain people certain ways, and we are aware of this. And with the body cams and with the with the cell phone footage and everything else, they're under scrutiny more and more. And with everything going on, with what happened with Derek Chauvin, with what's going on in Minneapolis right now, what's going on in Chicago, with the police officers being so aggressive, still speaks to a mindset. They're like, yo, they still believe that this is how we're supposed to behave. This is how we're supposed to react to the public. And they don't do it to everybody equally, man. That's the other part about this. Now, it says the white cop was like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Like, hey, exactly. Dude came in there charged, but here's the other part where the white cop is just as equally at fault. He told them this is a high-risk traffic stop. So old boy showed up there charged. He showed up charged because he was given information by the white cop who said, like, yo, man, this is a high-risk traffic violation or whatever else. So backup's showing up. Man, it's scary, man. It like, dude, until you've been in a traffic stop where the police like pull up and it's like 6 cops and all of them got their guns trained on you. And I've had that happen. Everybody, like, we can kind of Monday morning quarterback a lot of this shit, man. But honestly, dude was calm. He never raised his voice. He never really presented himself as a threat. I think they were more belligerent at the fact that dude actually had the temerity to say, hey, man, what the hell is happening right now? And that in and of itself was enough for old boy to kind of be going off. So, yeah, man, he's no longer a police officer with the Windsor Police Department, though. So that's in Lose Your Job. Now, another story that we got here in Lose Your Job has to do with those fake COVID-19 vaccination cards, man. So we talked about this last week where we were talking about how like people were, we're getting to a point where like folks are trying to get, instead of getting vaccinated, they want to get fake COVID cards and shit, right? So it just so happens that a young man, I believe he was like 26 years old, a man by the name of James Conkar was fired from his internet marketing job because he was on TikTok telling people that he was selling blank COVID-19 vaccination cards, man. And I mean, like, you went to TikTok to do this, like, you really thought that. Yes, that sounds like an excellent idea. Yeah, you really thought that's what you do, huh? Okay. So we read the story here. This comes out of abcactionnews.com. Which affiliate is this? Where is this from? This is actually out of Tampa Bay. This is the Tampa Bay affiliate of ABC. So it says James Conkar, a 26-year-old internet marketing specialist at 1305 Creative in Tampa, allegedly posted on TikTok that he had CDC vaccination cards for sale. Another user on the site, a Mississippi pharmacist, Savannah Mom, posted a video calling him out. Let's read the description, shall we? Selling blank COVID vaccine cards. DM me, Mom said in her video. Now, James, do you think it's smart to advertise that you not only forge medical documents, but that you also have the intent to distribute them? Mom took down her video from TikTok, but it was reposted on Twitter, where it has more than 210,000 views. After it was posted, 1305 Creator tweeted, "We are aware of the allegations against one of our employees. This employee has since been terminated as we have concluded a swift review of his actions. We reached out to the company, but they declined further comment." According to public records, Conkar lives in a gated neighborhood in Wesley Chapel. Since he was fired, he has deactivated all of his social media sites. We left a message for him at his home, but have not heard back from him. Long before his TikTok post, James Conkar was considered a hero. When he was 19, Conkar was named first runner-up for the Be More Positive Award, according to ABC Action News. Concar found more than $700 a customer drop in a grocery store. God damn, it comes full circle. We were just talking about people finding money that didn't belong to them. And here he returned the money, man. He returned the money. He dropped it in the grocery store parking lot and turned it over to a manager so it could be returned to his rightful owner. Concar has not been charged with any crime in connection with his recent post. A Pasco County Sheriff's spokesperson said in an email statement that we are aware of this instance, but we do not currently have an investigation open on this individual. A local FBI spokesperson emailed, while the FBI does not confirm or deny the existence of an investigation, we want to assure the public that the FBI remains committed to pursuing these exploiting the COVID-19 pandemic to perpetuate fraud schemes. So, as I said last week, man, I think it's very it's dangerous for one to be out here selling those fake, those phony those COVID vaccine cards, because again, I get that there's some people who are skeptical, man. I get it. I do. I understand why. I don't agree with you. I don't agree, but I understand why. But to go to the links of like buying and or selling a phony, some phony documentation, knowing that maybe you could possibly have COVID, right? You can have COVID and you're out here falsifying documents to tell people that you've been vaccinated against it and everything else, just so you can go to the movies and go out to eat, or get on a cruise or hop on a plane or whatever else, and give that possible COVID vaccine, that COVID infection to other people, man. It just screams fucking selfishness, man. And so while I don't feel sorry for this young Concar dude, 26, I get it. I understand. I just, I ain't a fan. But that's been lose your job. All right, but y'all know what time it is.
That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Yeah, that's enough of that shit. It's proud to be an American time here at the Spann Report podcast. And our first story here in Proud to be an American is, so we talked about Sharon Osborne she got fired from, she lost her job too. She got that too. They fired her from the talk after her outburst about being labeled racist for defending her friend Piers Morgan, right? Well, Sharon Osborne went to Real Time with Bill Maher, and they talked a bit about her separation from the talk. And I'm gonna go ahead and just pull up the video, man, so we can see exactly what Sharon Osborne had to say about why she was let go from that position. So let me pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with your man Spann. Let's see what's going on here. And here we go. Let's see what the hell Sharon Osborne got to say. What's she talking about?
First up, she is the TV personality who, after 11 seasons, is the last of the original co-host to leave the talk. Please welcome Sharon Osborne is over here. Oh, see, they still love you. Hello.
Hi.
And it's also, I know, like, sometimes the crowd is they're polite in their cheering or whatever else, but pretty warm reception for Sharon Osborne in this particular. And I make note of that because of the type of crowd that this is supposed to be, right? The type of crowd that this is supposed to be is, a liberal crowd, man. The people who get it, the wokes, so to speak. These are the people who supposedly get it. Cheering for Sharon Osborne as she comes out on stage.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm sorry. And before I also let this continue, Bill Maher, I used to watch the show pretty regularly, man. Real talk. I used to like watch the show all the time. I've been watching it less and less over the course of the last few years. It depends on like who's the guest, right? Like if there's somebody that I'm interested in hearing what the hell they have to say, and it just so happened to be on Bill Maher's show, I might check the show out in that instance. Or better yet, I might even listen to it like as a podcast or something, because he does release it as a podcast after after, you know, the broadcast or whatever else. But I haven't really been following Bill Maher's show as religiously as I used to, because Bill Maher has, over the course of some time, Bill Maher has become like the more old, like I guess like the older this dude gets, the older and whiter this dude gets, the more conservative, I would say, he tends to have gotten. And I say that because, like, here's the thing. Bill Maher, like, he likes to leave the door open to be friendly with the likes of people like, you know, Milo Yiannopoulos and Ann Coulter and Ben Shapiro and like he's had like Steve Bannon, like he's had these types of folks on his show. And his thing is like, yo, we had to talk to the other people. Like, we can't just like not talk to these folks. And like, yeah, you can talk to them, or better yet, like you can have a conversation about them. But like at a certain point, some of these softball sort of kind of conversations, like kind of personalizes them, kind of sanitizes the actual shit that they're advocating, which can be dangerous. And so it didn't surprise me in the least that if she was going to talk to anybody on this particular side of the aisle, that it would be Bill Maher, because Bill Maher has been so open to talking to a lot of these folks. And Bill Maher openly also has, you know, he's kind of like did this thing where, in much the same way that the right wing has done, where they've co-opted woke and turned it into a pejorative, right? So now right-wing people talk about being woke as if something's wrong with being woke, or they got these woke corporations that are wading into political issues, and we really believe that they should stay out of these political fights. They should contribute all the monies that they can to the political fights that we support, but we really do believe that they should just kind of stay out of it. But they've allowed the social justice warriors to influence them, and now they're jumping into things that they shouldn't, and we really want them to shut the fuck up and just give us money. And like Bill Maher has kind of like, you know, echoed a lot of those sentiments. So this is part of the reason why I'm not surprised that Sharon Osborne showed up on Real Time with Bill Maher.
Well, that's look at that. That's nice.
That's really
Hey, aren't you
nice.
glad you came? Yeah, just to
Yes,
hear
I
that.
am.
I know. Well, obviously you're here to talk about Brexit. Now, do you believe if so I've been hearing about how all the people around your little scandal have been doing. How are you, is what I wanted to ask first of all.
It's so many different things. I'm angry. I'm hurt.
But you always were a strong one.
Oh, I'm a fighter.
We know that one.
So
we know that
I'm
one.
like,
I know. Yeah.
you know?
Well, let's do a quick recap of the tragic events of 310. So on your ironically titled show, The Talk,
Yes.
you were talking, and and if there's one lesson from this, is that's not allowed anymore. So I just want to say my view is nothing happened on the Talk. We'll get to other stuff, but on your show, I don't think anything happened, because what happened was a few weeks before, maybe the week before, I don't know. I remember I watched it. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry gave their interview with Oprah. Okay,
Yes.
then your friend Piers Morgan, he's a commentator in Britain.
Yes.
He said he didn't
Well,
believe things that Meghan Markle said.
Right.
And then on your show, you said, well, he's a good friend of mine, and I don't necessarily agree with his opinion, but he is entitled to his opinion.
Exactly.
So he was called a racist and lost his job, and you were called a racist and lost your job. Do I have it right?
You got it right. That's exactly how it went.
Right.
Except that's not exactly how it went. So here's the thing. They act as though this is the shit that like gets on my fucking nerves. They act as though we can't see them. Like we were there. We it was recorded, baby. We can see you. Don't you know we can see you? You know what I'm saying? Like there's that sort of thing. So I want to remind you guys a little bit of like how this particular thing went. So let me pull this up so you guys can see this, because like it's weird in how they tried to like sanitize this to where like, oh, they're gonna play it down for Sharon Osborne. They're playing this down like, oh well, you know, y'all were having a little conversation and like people like took offense or whatever, but nothing really happened here, really. And that's not exactly what happened. But check this out, y'all.
You again, Cheryl.
Yes.
I've been asking you during the break. I'm asking you again. And don't try and cry, because if anyone should be crying, it should be me. This is the situation.
Yes.
You tell me where you have heard him say, educate me. Tell me when you have
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to pause that. Hold on a second. There we go.
heard him say racist things. Educate me. Tell me.
Cheryl Underwood should have smacked the crumpets out this bitch. How the hell do you?
Oh shit! I didn't realize. I didn't realize this was one of those, man. I just thought they was gonna let the damn video play. But the point is this, right? Sharon Osborne said that they blindsided her with this particular topic. Folks were really coming at Piers Morgan, right? They were coming at Piers Morgan because Piers Morgan he actually had a personal grind, like axe to grind with Meghan Markle. And he was called on it on like national television over in Britain. And he walked off the set of his television show after he was called out for his personal acts that he was grinding with Meghan Markle. And a lot of people felt as though Piers Morgan being so dismissive of some of the charges that Meghan Markle was leveling at the royal family, dismissing some of the racism charges that she was leveling against the royal family. Piers Morgan was saying that he didn't believe these things, right? That it was impossible for him to believe that, these racist things were happening. And because of the racial animus that was the racial animus that was going on with that particular issue, people kind of associated Piers Morgan with being on some racist shit. Now, Sharon Osborne, that's her boy. She said those are his thoughts. Those are his opinions, this, that, and the other. He should be free to express them. He's free to express them, but that doesn't mean anybody doesn't have to agree with him. And also, that doesn't necessarily mean that just because you express some shit doesn't mean you aren't what the people have called you. Right? Because right now, the thing is with a lot of white folks is that y'all hate being called a racist, but y'all don't be exactly as upset about the racist shit that is happening. Right? All this racism going on, we don't hear shit for some of y'all. But if being called an actual racist, that's when we hear from y'all. Right? And so Sharon Osborne goes on TV and she's talking against, Cheryl Underwood, going in, talking about how dare you cry? I should be the one crying, making it about you. We talk about making it about, ourselves and shit, but making it about you. At the same time, you're engaging in a subtle sort of thing where you're not even aware of what this appears to be, right? Because Cheryl Underwood is trying not to appear to be this angry, aggressive black woman, because again, when black people express any level of fucking emotion in public spaces, we're seen as irrational, we're seen as emotional, we're seen as aggressive, we're seen as all of those things. Right? But here Sharon Osborne is exhibiting all of those fucking characteristics, and yet we're supposed to feel sorry for her, right? This millionaire white lady from the great, from Great Britain, who comes over here and made millions of dollars. Her husband is a legendary rocker or whatever the fuck else. And, we're supposed to feel sorry for her. She's no longer on this talk show because she blew up. And not only that, there have been instances of other people who were associated with the talk show who said that Sharon Osborne has had some problematic sort of views, right? But the fact that she went to fucking Bill Maher, who, let's just keep it a buck, has kind of worn out his welcome with a lot of black folks. I think, when he had that incident where he called himself a house nigga on the show, and he brought Ice Cube of all people, to kind of check him on it or whatever else. And it was Ice Cube, right? But Bill Maher has gotten to a point where I feel like even with him, you're starting to sort of sound and look at him sort of like a Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, not as extreme as Sean Hannity sort of way, where like, yo, man, you coming across as like this angry old white dude who's upset that like, yo, the things that you used to be able to get away with, people are calling y'all out on, and that's what pisses you off. And so the fact that Sharon Osborne got called out and she was held accountable for some of the shit that she's been doing in the past, and it kind of blew up in public in front of everybody. Now you're giving her a platform because her story needs to be told. How are you doing? She's not a fucking victim here, man. Sharon Osborne is not a fucking victim here. She stood up for her boy while everybody was calling her boy a racist. Now you stand up in that moment. He's not racist. I swear to God, I will not accept being called a racist. You cannot call me a racist. Right? Okay. I mean, you could do all of that. But you standing up on the side of where other motherfuckers think this dude is racist. So what do you think they're going to call you? Right? There's that whole birds of a feather flock together sort of like, thing going on there. But, man, she went to Bill Maher. And not even surprisingly, but she went to Bill Maher to like plead her case. And that's in Proud to Be an American. Now, another story that we got here and Proud to Be an American. Let me pull that shit down because I'm tired of looking at both of them. But another story that we got here and Proud to Be an American is, let's stop that too. We've got Will Smith. Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua were filming a movie or producing a movie down in Georgia, but they decided to move that movie up out of Georgia because, of course, everybody is mad at Georgia because Georgia was like, yo, man, we're going to take we're going to change the voting rights laws here in the state because, despite the fact that nothing happened here, we feel like we need to make shit more secure, despite the fact we just had one of the most secure elections we've ever had in the United States of America per the current, the last administration. So we're going to change the laws.
Well, that'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
Yeah, so we get the story here. This comes out of NBCnews.com. It says Antoine Fuqua and Will Smith will move production of their big-budget runaway slave thriller Emancipation out of Georgia in protest over the state's controversial new voter restrictions. The announcement continues the economic fallout from Governor Brian Kemp, a Republican, and the GOP-controlled state legislature's decision to pass new regulations that critics maintain amount to voter suppression. Aimed at reducing the turnout of people of color, the new laws were passed in the wake of former President Donald Trump's unfounded claims of voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election, and after Georgia voted for a Democrat for the president for the first time in decades. The rules shorten the duration of absentee voting, require absentee voters to produce identification, limit the use of drop boxes, and make it a crime to hand out free food or water to voters and stand in a line. At this moment in time, the nation is coming to terms with its history and is attempting to eliminate vestiges of institutional racism to achieve true racial justice, Fuqua, the movie's director, and Smith said in a joint statement. We cannot in good conscience provide economic support to a government that enacts regressive voting laws that are designed to restrict voter access. The new Georgia voting laws are reminiscent of voter impediments that have passed at the end of Reconstruction to prevent many Americans from voting. Regrettably, we feel compelled to move our film production from work from Georgia to another state. Now, what's happening here is like, as with, I believe Coca-Cola has come out and made statements. Delta Airlines has come out and made statements. Major League Baseball has decided to take the All-Star game up out of Georgia and move it to Denver, Colorado, I believe it is. And many Republicans are finding themselves at odds with corporate America over the fact that like corporate America is stepping forward to say that like, yo, man, this is kind of fucked up and this fucking like we can't really be seen out here fucking with y'all like that. All right. Like, I mean, we know y'all like try to, be about the business and stuff like that, but man, y'all out here fucking up, like y'all fucking up the church's money. We can't fuck with y'all like that. So we got to come out here and make some statements, man. We got to make some moves, man. Y'all out here moving funny, man. We don't really fuck with this. Like this Republican Party is some new shit, man. Like we used to y'all when y'all was talking about free markets and all this other shit, but nigga, now y'all the ones that said the shit was secure. So how y'all gonna go out here change the rules after y'all said the shit was secure? It don't even make sense, right? Corporations are seeing the shit, right? And then you got Mitch McConnell. Like I was kind of like talking shit about him before, but like you got Mitch McConnell. Like, well, we don't want the corporate culture to start wading into political battles that have nothing to do with them. They should just like leave the fights, the political fights, to the politicians, and just stay in the corporate world. And we don't mind them giving them money. They should just give the money and shut the fuck up. That's pretty much how Republicans view corporate America right now, right? But Will Smith and them decided to move their movie up out of Georgia. And it's part of the public backlash, man. Like Georgia has decided to change the voting laws, despite the fact that they said nothing was wrong, and like they were the ones that told us that the election was secure. They were the ones that were like, "Yo, we had 3 recounts. We like Donald Trump lost, right?" And so this becomes this thing where like they're trying to. They're trying to solve a problem. It's like a solution in search of a problem, because Donald Trump asserted that he was losing the goddamn election because he was going to lose. Real talk, we all know he knew he was going to lose, right? But if he can like throw enough of the bullshit out there, somebody was going to eat it up. And apparently the Republican Party is still eating it up. And so like all across the nation, we're seeing all these voting rights laws, these not only laws, but these bills coming up. I think they had said like 250 some odd bills across the country have popped up since the last election. And so Georgia was the first one to like kind of like pass some shit, And so a lot of these folks are like, yo, man, we're not gonna do business there. Like it's bad business for us to do business there. Y'all need to have some level of recompense. Like y'all need to have some consequences for this bullshit that y'all doing down there. And that's why a lot of these corporations and a lot of these people are pulling the business out of Georgia, right? And Georgia has like kind of grown to become like outside of Hollywood, probably the shit. I see more Georgia like promotions like after watching a television show or a movie or something like that than anything outside of Hollywood, man. Like Georgia's like Hollywood of the East, But so the thing is, Republicans do have a retort. Right, because that's a thing, man. Like they think the weird thing about Republicans is that they think that people are stupid, and they think that we don't really know history. They think that we're being led by emotion. They think that we don't know what the hell's going on, and that we're missing. Oh man, y'all misconstruing shit, man. It ain't like that, man. It ain't even like that, bruh. Like, see, if y'all knew the motherfucking history, my nigga, then you would know, man, like y'all used to be Republicans, right? So one of those y'all used to be Republican ass niggas, Alan West, decided that he was going to respond to the fact that Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua decided to move their emancipation movie up out of Georgia. Now, Alan West used to be a Florida congressman. He is now currently the Texas Republican Party chairman, but he's a native of Georgia. Right, so he's a carpetbagging motherfucker. Let's just go ahead and put that out there. He's a carpetbagging motherfucker. But he decided he was going to put a video out to respond to what they were doing. So let me go ahead and pull this video up so you guys can watch right along with me as we do this here, because that's what we do now. All right, so let's see. Alan West responds to Will Smith, Antoine Fuqua, and he also mentioned Roland Martin. So let's see what's going on here. What the fuck does Alan West have to say?
Hey, greetings, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and I just heard some news. And it has to do with the Hollywood movie industry. And as you may not know, Georgia has become one of the largest movie production facilities and studios in the United States of America. I think it's second or third after Hollywood. Well, I just found out that Will Smith and Antoine Fuqua, I believe, they have decided that they are going to move their movie Emancipation, it's supposed to be a drama about slavery, out of Georgia in protest of the Georgia voting law. I find it very interesting that Will Smith and Mr. Fuqua want to do this because, well, the Republicans were the ones that stood up and fought against slavery. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at the history of the Democrat Party, all this talk about Jim Crow, those were the Democrats that implemented the policy of Jim Crow, segregation, slavery, whatever you want to call it. And they continue today with the soft bigotry of low expectations. But when you think about this movie, Emancipation, well, that word has a lot of meaning because of the Emancipation Proclamation that was signed because of a Republican president, Abraham Lincoln. And there in the state of Georgia, Mr. Smith, I want you to remember that the very first member of the United States House of Representatives that was black, well, he was a Republican from Georgia. Mr. Jefferson Long. So I think maybe you should look at your history and make sure that you get it right. And oh, by the way, hey, Will, show me where you can go without an ID. I don't even think you can get on an airplane without an identification. I know that I can. Now, does that mean that these airlines are racist? And when you look at the Georgia election law, there are many other states controlled by Democrats that have election laws that are far more restrictive and stringent. So again, all of this background noise that we hear from these Hollywood elites, these corporate fascist oligarchs, it doesn't have a hill of beans of a meaning to any of us. And oh, by the way, Roland Martin, I think you called me gutless for not standing up and speaking out against voter laws. Well, guess what? I fought in countries where we wanted to make sure that they had honest, free, and fair elections. And I will continue to fight for the exact same here in these United States of America. God bless y'all. Bye-bye.
All right. I'm sorry about that, y'all. I didn't realize that I had pulled the fucking video down. I remember it was still playing, thankfully, but I didn't realize I had pulled the video down so you guys couldn't see it. But yeah, that was Alan West responding to Antoine Fuqua, Will Smith, and I think, like I said, he threw Roland Martin's name up in there as well. Now, here's the thing, man. The truth of the matter is, and we've talked about this here on the show quite frequently, as a matter of fact, because I've always questioned right now, especially considering like the current times and like the current climate of the nation, why there is even a such thing as a Black Republican at this particular point. And now I kind of feel as though part of the reason why there is a such thing as a Black Republican is because it could be lucrative for a Black Republican, right? That, you know, like there's money to be made to be the one nigga that say, I'm not like those niggas over there. Right. And there's money to be made to be the Black person who's willing to go on national publications, national broadcasts to promote white, talking points, or to promote racist talking points, to, kind of undercut the charges of racism. Right. So when a white person says, a white person couldn't go on social media and say that without being called a racist. Right. Because truthfully speaking, we would see that, like, you think we don't know that fucking Abraham Lincoln was a Republican? You think we don't know that the civil rights was the Civil War was fought by and championed by Republicans at the time? Right? You think we don't know this? Here's the thing. Republicans love to talk about, hey, y'all, the civil right, the Democrats were the ones to the Democrats were the ones to be a part of the KKK. The Democrats were the ones that were trying to keep y'all from the voting, the polling places and things of that nature, as if they are totally oblivious to their current position and their current standing in the political landscape. Totally oblivious to it, right? Why do we find ourselves, if you're talking about the Republican Party, or better yet, if you're talking about Democrats being the ones who were upholding slavery, then why in the fuck are there Republican people right now who are bemoaning the possible taking down of Confederate monuments and statues? Right? Why then do we have Republicans taking measures of instituting voter restrictions because they just lost an election, and it's similar to those restrictions that were brought forward by the Democrats of the 1800s? Especially if you want to convince us that there was no switching of the parties, right? You're trying to convince us of that. A lot of us already know the history. We know that the Democratic Party of the 1860s, of the 1900s, of the early 1900s, had a certain political slant that we wouldn't agree with. And that's part of the reason why we didn't vote for them at that time, which is also why it is exceedingly insulting that when Black people vote for Democrats, now you act as though Black people don't know that history, right? But also, and I always kind of go back to this, man. I always kind of go back to this particular video, because let me pull this up so you guys can watch right along with me, though. I always kind of go back to this because this particular individual was campaign manager for Ronald Reagan. And a lot of people look at Ronald Reagan as though he was a fucking patron saint of modern day conservatism. And Ronald Reagan, although they talk as though he's like a saint, a lot of your like the war on drugs sort of, I know Richard Nixon, who was also a Republican, started the war on drugs. But like when you think about the crack epidemic of the 1980s and how Oliver North and the Iran-Contra affair sort of like allowed for them to flood the inner city with hard narcotics, with crack cocaine, with cocaine, in order to fund the Sandinista government. The Sandinistas who were fighting a war, like to combat communism and all this other shit going on in South America, and giving Iran like arms and shit like that. Like when you start thinking about how the modern day Republican Party has operated when it concerned people of color or black folks in particular, and then also how the modern day Republican Party has sort of weaved their politics into like, okay, they're going to do some racist shit, but they ain't exactly got to say the racist shit. Lee Atwater, who was one of the campaign managers for not only just Ronald Reagan, but George H.W. Bush, spoke to this specifically. He spoke to this specifically. As a matter of fact, like I said, let me pull this video up. He said this, he was talking about the Southern strategy in 1981. Let's listen to Lee Atwater, Republican strategist, talk about this issue.
Here's how I would approach that issue as a statistician or a political scientist, or no, as a psychologist, which I'm not, is how abstract you handle the race thing. In other words, you start out, and now y'all aren't quoting me on this. You start out in 1954 by saying nigger, nigger, nigger. By 1968, you can't say nigger, that hurts your backfire, so you say stuff like force busing, states' rights and all that stuff. And you get so abstract now, you're talking about cutting taxes and all of these things you're talking about are totally economic things, and the byproduct of them is blacks get hurt worse than whites.
Now, keep in mind, he's talking about taxes, he's talking about busing, and he says, like all of these things you're talking about, they're economic issues, but what the end result is, it affects blacks more than it affects whites, right? But let's keep it. Let's go even a little bit, a little bit deeper than that. Many of the things that you hear about, at the time, one of the things that precipitated the Civil War was the South felt as though, like, yo, you're impeding upon our states' rights. We have a right to operate in our state in a way in which we see fit, and the federal government shouldn't have anything to do with what we got going on in our state. Like, these are our rights as this state. We are a sovereign state, and we should be able to operate in this way, right? Many of the times, when you start talking about civil rights, when you start talking about voting rights, especially in today's day and time, what we're finding out is even now, Republicans are the ones who are talking about states' rights, who are talking about the state should have total autonomy and total authority over how their elections are run, right? So if they decide that they're going to put some restrictions on the voting process, then damn it, we as a nation should just respect it because it's their state's right to do so, right? Meanwhile, blacks are disproportionately affected more than whites. This was happening. This was said by Lee Atwater in 1981, 39 fucking years ago. 40 years ago is when he said this, right? But they act as though we don't know that this shit has been said. They act as though we don't know. This is the prevailing attitude of the modern day Republican Party. The Republican Party, again, I've said it on this show, I will say it again. The Republican Party, they are who the fuck we thought they were. They've been operating as a antagonist party towards black people for the better part of 60 years now. So for Adam, for Alan West, to act as though he's giving anybody a fucking history lesson, man. I mean, it's laughable to me, but it's also par for the course, and that is why he's proud to be an American.
That I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Yo, but y'all know what time it is.
Yo,
oh.
The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here. The champ is here.
All right. It's Champ of the Week time here at the Spann Report podcast, man. And our Champ of the Week this week here is the Louisiana State University chapter of Phi Gamma Delta fraternity, man. Now, off top, I know a lot of y'all are like, who? Right? Like, who the fuck is Phi Gamma Delta, right? And apparently, like, these are this is a white fraternity. I know, right? A white fraternity. Yeah, man, they're getting kudos here at the Spann Report podcast, man. And the reason why they're getting kudos here at the Spann Report podcast is because Jessie Hamilton was a cook for, what's the name of it? Phi Gamma Delta. She was a cook for Phi Gamma Delta in their fraternity house at Louisiana State University. And the brothers of that fraternity, upon finding out that she still owed $45,000 on her mortgage, decided that they would pay her mortgage in full and also give her money to retire, man. You know what? It's more like yeah, man. So we read the story here. This comes out of the Washington Post. It says Jessie Hamilton worked as a cook at a fraternity house in Louisiana State for 14 years. While she was in constant motion preparing breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the members of Phi Gamma Delta, commonly called Fiji, she was widely known to lend an ear when one of the young men needed her advice or care. She was truly like a mother to us, said Andrew Fuziati, 52, a Fiji fraternity brother who attended LSU in the late 1980s. She treated us like we were her own kids. She was always looking out for us. More than 30 years later, he and his fraternity brothers returned the favor. On April 3rd, just before her 74th birthday, a dozen Fiji members and their families surprised Hamilton with an outdoor celebration at her home in Baton Rouge and presented her with a gift of $51,765. Nearly 100 Fiji brothers contributed money to cover the outstanding balance of Hamilton's mortgage and then some, so she could finally retire. I couldn't believe it, she said. After working at least 2 jobs since she was 14, she said she's long been ready for retirement. I was a sharecropper's daughter, so we didn't have much, said Hamilton. At one time, I was working 4 jobs. As a single mother of 3, there were times when I didn't have enough money to put food on the table. Hamilton started working at the fraternity house in 1982. She would wake up at 4 a.m. each day to catch the 5 a.m. bus to campus. She prepared breakfast, lunch, and dinner for as many as 100 fraternity brothers at a time. Not only did Hamilton cook the meals, she said, I also made sure everybody ate. Whenever class schedules or other commitments conflicted with mealtime, she'd make a plate and leave it for me and a bunch of guys, Fuziati said. I enjoyed doing it, Hamilton said. They love my cooking. She made mostly comfort food, fried chicken, red beans, and smoked sausage, carrot cake, and peach cobbler. But what Hamilton enjoyed far more than feeding the fraternity brothers, she said, was supporting them. From relationship challenges to exam stress, I was always there to talk things through with them. And they'd come in the kitchen and sit on the countertop and tell me their problems. Johnny Joubert, 51, a Fiji member who graduated LSU in 1993, recalls regularly doing just that. She was always asking how everyone else was, never said anything about herself, he said. From day one, she had this aura about her that drew everybody to her. She always took care of us. And so, yo, man, I just feel like it's dope as fuck. And especially in today's climate. And also because it's not necessarily expected, man. Like when I first saw this story, I was not expecting that the fraternity was going to be a predominantly white fraternity, honoring a sister who had served them for many years in such a great capacity, and that they never forgot her, and they looked out for her. And so the fact that they thought it would they thought it was a good idea, man, to go ahead and, you know what, I think it's high time that we paid her mortgage, man. She had been working hard for so long, and she had been good to so many people that they decided they were going to pay her mortgage for her and just like knock that bill right off of her plate. Kudos to those dudes, man. Kudos to those dudes and the members of the Louisiana State Chapter of Phi Gamma Delta. Salute to you, fellas, man, and thank you for the thank you for looking out for that sister, man. Real talk, man. That is dope, especially in the time that times that we're living in now, man. Real talk. And so to see people stepping out and doing things that they don't have to do for the benefit of others, it's always great. And I will always like to highlight those sorts of stories. And so they are the champs of the week this week here at the Spann Report podcast, man. Real talk. But it is time for us to get on up out of here. I've been running my mouth for 2 hours, y'all. I'm tired. But of course, before we leave, man, I got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us here at the Spann Report podcast and let your voice be heard. Go ahead and hit up the hotline at area code 313-288-0485. There's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get read here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead, leave us those emails. Of course, those emails will get read here and reply to here live on the show as well, man. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead and follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week, man. Also, hit us up on our iTunes and or Stitcher Radio with those 5-star reviews, man. Those 5-star reviews are the ones that get read here live on the show, baby. It real talk is one way to put down for the show. It doesn't cost you a dime. It's a couple minutes of your time so that everybody know why you're rocking with us over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. And also hit us up on our website at www.thespannreport.com. You can go there. Watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls when we decide to put those polls up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man. Real talk. And also hit up our store, man, from the website. Hit the Take Me to the Store tab. It'll take you to our TeePublic store. Get yourself a face mask, get yourself a t-shirt, get yourself a hoodie, get yourself a coffee mug, get yourself a mouse pad. We got some stuff in the stores, man. Go ahead and copy yourself some merch and help us out in that way. We really appreciate everybody who does that as well, man. Real talk. But it is time for me to get on up out of here. I will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam, peace.